Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Meant for More Conversations with me, Sarah Alley. And Meant for More Conversations is a space that's really about wholeness and where we talk about life, soul purpose, self discovery, the ways that we can shed that not enough story so that you can claim your light, love yourself more, and step into your power because you are meant for more. And today's conversation is with my friend, Tiffany Smith Deans. And I really think you're going to love our conversation tonight. I asked a few questions in the post when I shared our talk with you all that talked about charting uncertainty, feeling like you're floating in liminal space, that feeling or that huge calling inside where you just know that you want to be contributing more. You want to be showing up in service to the whole. Maybe you're a visionary and you have a vision for your life or the things that you want to be doing. And the path forward doesn't look very clear, right? Because it's uncharted territory. And maybe in your circumstances of your life and where you are right now, and the vision that you're carrying inside don't fully equate with one another. You know, it can be really hard to see how to get there. But the best path forward is just to take a step. And what I think you'll enjoy about our conversation tonight is that you have two people tonight who will be talking about these things who know it very deeply and who know it well and who are living it right now. And Tiffany's story and her journey thus far is one that I think is very inspiring and real and authentic and relatable. And that taps into the threads of these different things that I mentioned earlier. So before we get started, I want to start off with asking the question of, where is your heart at today? Because I want for us to join into these conversations first tuned into ourselves and where we're at so that we can share this space from where we are. And one of our greatest intentions for me and Tiffany tonight is around authenticity, to have a very real open space here. And so I want to really invite you into the space and to feel into where's your heart today. When I sit with that question for myself, where my heart is today, my heart is very tender today. It's very tender. And that could possibly be because just the time that we're in right now, it feels like there's a lot of high energy moving. And it feels as though there's just a lot of change and in work, and it's a lot of things happening. And I'm just feeling very, one, appreciative and grateful. And also just feeling very tender, right? Going through life. And so that's where I'm at today. So I would have you tune in and let me know in the comment section where your heart is today, even if you want to just share one word. So I'm going to invite my friend Tiffany in so we can get started. And I'm really excited to talk with her tonight. And I think you're going to find this conversation to be one that's uplifting and hopefully a little inspiration there. And Tiffany has a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and just a lot of heart to share. And what I love most about her is how genuine her connection is with each and every single person. And I think you're going to feel that tonight. So if you would help me welcome my friend Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good. It's so good to have you here. And I'm so glad you're able to join me tonight and to join our audience tonight. Yeah, and dive into this conversation. I'm really excited about it.
Me too. Me too. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you in a sense, but definitely great to, connect with you all and feel you tonight. So I'm looking
Yes.
forward to it.
So I'm going to ask you a question too, about where your heart is today.
Yes. And I was thinking on that when I just heard you say it. And honestly, my heart today it's open.
Mm,
And the last couple of days have been very, very introspective for me. Yeah, today and yesterday, I've had a lot of very interesting conversations with people, and interesting in a good way. They've been very inspiring and very thought provoking for me.
mhm.
So I'm just, yeah, my heart is open. It's open to whatever, you know, just everything. It's
Oh, I
open.
love it. I love it. I love it. Well, we're just going to dive openly into this conversation.
All right, let's do it.
When you're talking about introspection, and we've talked about this, like being an empath, right? And feeling so much and the sensitivities of things. And I really find that introspection part is so much a part of being an empath. Like constantly seeking the answers from within,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, okay, first share a little bit about yourself and your journey, because I feel like you lean a lot on your intuition, on your inner guidance,
Yeah.
which is so much about introspection. So please share a little bit about your journey with people today.
So a little bit about me. And I used to always kind of cringe at this because I always felt like there was no words to really describe me. And
Right.
between that and then still trying to figure out who I am. But, I'm very comfortable now and still saying, like, hey, I'm still figuring out who I am.
Yes.
In this moment, currently, I'm Tiffany. I'm figuring things out. I am an entrepreneur, which is a whole nother piece of figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am a wife. I am a mother of two. I'm a minister. And I'm finally in a good place where I can say that and not cringe or anything like that. I'm very comfortable in that. So yeah, I come from, like, my father is a minister and I'm a minister, and yeah, and I don't know, like I'm just Tiffany, and as you can tell, like I'm in just a very open space right now, but
Yes.
a little bit more specific, what I do for work. I'm in HR, human resources, and I am also dabbling into digital marketing right now, which is something really new. Yes, really new, but really dear to my heart. So I am loving this space right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this, being a minister and not cringing, right? Like, it's about, we talked when we first were, sorting out kind of where we're going to bring this discussion, and you had mentioned this piece about, your dad being a minister, and you were never really pushed in that direction. It's not like it was like forced on you to be that.
Right.
But it's like there was this calling inside of you, right, to go down this path, right, and in stepping into it. And I think that this is one that so many of you listening to right now can can definitely understand this. When you have a calling inside of you, right? There's an idea, a vision, a version of yourself or what you want to be. And where you are now, you're like, what? Like there's some cognitive dissonance. Like, it's like, is that me? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so like, share, and where you are coming into it now, like being able to claim this is like, yeah, this is who I am. I'm a minister. Like, what is your path looked like getting to that point?
Oh, Sarah, how much time do we have?
Well, we have some time.
But no, I say that not to be like disrespectful or anything like that when I say cringe, but I say it again it's because I'm comfortable in saying it. And there was a time where I was not comfortable. Since I grew up being a PK, which is a preacher's kid or pastor's kid, it was just never a thought of mine, like ever, to want to be in ministry. Like never, ever. I didn't want to have I was cool with like going to church, but I didn't want to. Ministry was not ever a thought. And so when I started to feel that the urge and the tug and the pull in my spirit about it, I fought it for a long time. And I just kept trying to push the thoughts back and push like those, suppress those feelings. And I'm like, no, because this is not what I want to do. This is not what I had planned for my life. Yeah. And that mainly came from because I didn't want to lose Tiffany. And I felt that being in ministry or being in that capacity would I would be gone. Like I couldn't be myself. I couldn't be real. I couldn't do things that I still love to do or go places that I love to go. And so I fought it. But as you can see now, I did lose that fight. And I'm a minister now, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud that I can say that's part of what I'm called to do. I can still be Tiffany, which is great. Like I don't have to dress a certain way or talk a certain way. Like I can just be me, and that's all that matters to me at the end of the day, because I have a good part of my life. I felt like I couldn't be me. So I said, okay, in this next part of my life, like I want to just be authentically me, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. Like I just want to be me. So yeah.
I think especially in this the path as a minister. So here's one of the things that I think about, right, is this puritanical kind of vision, right? Having to be perfect, right? For perfection, having to fulfill other people's expectations, right? Because you hear minister and pastor, preacher, spiritual leader, and there's a certain idealized, identity that people attach to that, right? Yep. And you're like, I am Tiffany. Okay. Yes, I have some deep wisdom to share. Yes, I am a leader. Yes, I am, connected and want to be, a pillar here. And I'm going to do so being myself, right? And I think that when we have visions for our life, right, on what we want to do, that are deeply rooted in contribution and purpose, it can feel like, like there's a disconnect, right? But it's like but that call is what you were actually made for, right? And so I want to ask you, and this is something I'm thinking about, really wanting to dive in with people, because the name of the show is meant for more, right? And where, if you could think back on, where you were when that feeling came in, or this understanding, right? Or that call of like, I feel like I'm here with a purpose, that I'm meant for more. Um, do you remember kind of like a moment like that when that came, to a head for you? And if you want to describe that moment.
Okay, so can this be just a general moment or something specific to
Any moment, yeah, anything that's on your heart that you're like, oh, this moment definitely felt like meant for more for me.
Hmm. Honestly, and I don't mean for it to sound cliche or anything. So,
Mhm.
but I really, really feel like when I became a mom, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like that is when I felt, so I really realized I was meant for more.
Mhm.
And, because I've, of course, I mean, naturally, when it's just you,
Mhm.
you're focused on your own self, on your own life, like what you have going
Yeah.
on and this and that. And it took having my daughter for me to see that there was just so much more.
Mm.
Um, and all the things that I thought I wanted or thought I needed just didn't even matter anymore.
Mhm.
Like I told you, like that's, about a year after my daughter, um, a year after she was born, like I quit my job. So, which is, some may say is pretty insane. Um, but it was just for me at the time, like money didn't mean anything.
Mm.
Me getting to a certain position or a certain grade or whatever, it was just, I don't know, like it's just something about having children. I mean, you have this other responsibility, this other life that you have to guide and lead and nurture, but um it's that, and it's just, I don't know, I think kind of going through the birthing process as well is just something that is just like, it's powerful and it just shifts everything, and then you're just like, I am meant for so much more in this world than, and I just didn't want to be boxed in, and I'm like, yeah, that was like my aha moment. So
Yes. Oh, I
yeah.
love that. No, I had a feeling, I was like, she's probably going to bring up motherhood, because that is
Yeah.
a huge, um, because your life when you have children, they become your children.
Yeah.
It's like your life is not your own anymore, and that is filled with an immense amount of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Carol and Phil. Yes, and Phil says a major leap of faith. Yeah, so
Yes.
let's
My
talk a little bit
brother.
about that. So this is how I met Tiffany, just like we'd known each other for like a few months, working together like for the same agency.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I like her, she's so nice. And then it was like, comes out this email, she's leaving, and I'm like, what? And most people don't walk away from the kind of job that we have at the time. It's secure, lots of benefits, just lots of
Yes.
stuff. And she was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Go. And I
Yeah.
just knew that I wanted to stay connected with you, and we have ever since. And
Yes.
I have just loved and enjoyed watching your journey, and what you've been up to. But yeah, like, talk about that a little bit, when it comes to making that step, right? When you're like, I can't anymore. I want to move forward.
Yeah.
What was that moment for you when you're like, I gotta go? And what was it that you were envisioning for yourself? Like, because we always, I know, when we're taking a step forward, we're taking a step forward towards something,
Yeah.
and what was that for you?
So let me go back, and I want to say too, it's so funny because, right, we work together, but we've never met each other in person.
No.
So it's funny because like I would always, we would be on the phone or like on email. And then once we got connected, on Facebook and things like that,
Yeah.
it's just funny because I feel like I feel like I've met you before, like in
Right.
the flesh, but I have not.
You're right. I feel the same way.
But so yeah, for me, so I definitely I had some, I had goals, career goals that I wanted to achieve, and I had achieved some career goals quite early, which was great. Getting to a certain grade, and it was like, yeah, it was this, it was that, and so when I left the job, when we were kind of working, sort of working together, I went to another agency, and I was there for a year, like about a year and a half. And that's when I left that one. And honestly, what was in my mind was just peace. And that's what I was pursuing. And I know it sounds crazy. Like I didn't have any immediate like dreams of, okay, I have my own business and I want to do this. I just needed peace. And because of things that I had gone through in my life at that point, just with some family and just my own personal journey, just certain things weren't worth my peace anymore. And as much as this job, a 6-figure job and great benefits, like amazing benefits, it was great, but it wasn't worth my peace. And the moment I put in my notice and that very last day that I left, I haven't looked back. I'm not saying it's been easy. I'm not saying it's been without, some grit and some prayers and some struggle. But if I had to be faced with that again, I'd do it all over again.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, Phil, I have to agree with you. Peace is invaluable. For those of you who are listening right now, if that didn't hit a touch note for you, I definitely got some feels there. I know I have, like, peace will be the one powerful, profound, like, thing that will drive you to make a decision, that you never thought you would make, whether that's walking away from a relationship, walking away from an opportunity, diving into something that scares the bejesus out of you. It's like, for your own peace, right? And I'm really learning how much of life is walking the path towards peace. It's really not, we think of that life as so much about living for happiness or striving to be happy, but it's really like cornerstone is really about peace. What we're actually looking for is peace. People say it's comfort. It's not comfort. It's peace. Yeah. So I love that.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about you being a mother and how you did not, like, initially, if you could have thought about it, you were like, you weren't really thinking like this was good, like your life as a mother, as a wife, as a, like this was not what you envisioned for yourself. But here you are, this beautiful, authentic, real life of mother, of wife, of family. And it's so beautiful. Like, speak to that. How did that open up for you?
So I'll say this. So I always saw myself being a mom. Like, I saw that. I knew since I was a little girl, like, I'm going to be a mom.
Oh, okay.
I did not see myself being a wife.
Okay. All right.
No, there was no parts of me that wanted to be married. I didn't have like a dream wedding, like already made up in my mind. I didn't play play makeup wedding games. Like when I was young, it just wasn't a thing for me. And I was comfortable with that. Like I had planned on like having kids without having a husband. And I was happy with that because that was going to be my truth. But lo and behold, I found this amazing man. And it was funny. I was actually talking to a friend today. And what I did, like because we were just talking about, affirmations and just, speaking things into existence. And I remember shortly before I met my my husband, I wrote a list of all the things that I wanted in a man. And it was a list just for me, but it was a way for me to be honest and for me to just like say and have it written out everything that I wanted. And so it was a long list.
Uh-huh.
It was very long.
Yeah.
But it was honest. And I said, okay, God, this is what I want. But whatever you have for me or whoever you have for me,
Right.
like I'm open to that. I'm going to go to that. And I promise you, maybe like 2 weeks after that is when my husband and I like connected.
Wow.
And that's crazy, which is like now that was like 10 years ago. This month is when we first connected and met. And we had our our shares of ups and downs in our journey, and we got engaged, and then we broke off our engagement, and then we got engaged again, and married, and it's been incredible. Like I had a totally different vision of what marriage is going to be, and this again, it goes back to me not being able to be myself, and I didn't want to be tied down in a situation where I couldn't be me, or I couldn't be Tiffany. And I have felt so free in my marriage. Like I haven't had to like pretend to be something or anybody else. Like my husband gets all of me all the time, probably more than what he asked for, but like, I am fully free in my marriage. And then, with our kids, with our girls, I have 2 girls, and one is 3 and one is 1. And I just feel like all of that love and that authenticity just trickles down to them. And I want them to be their selves, and they are. I don't limit them, and like if they have questions, well, like, especially my 3-year-old, if she has questions, then I let her, ask them, and we have, healthy conversations. I'm not going to have her do anything like that's, endangering herself or reckless or whatever. But, I want her to express herself. I want her, like, if she is excited and she yells like out in the street, then I let her do that because she's excited, and she should be. She's 3, and life is magical at 3. So, like the 3 things that I stated for my daughter before she was born, my first one, was that I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to be healthy, and I wanted her to be herself. And she has lived up to those 3 things. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this part about being yourself, because I know for you, like that's a huge principle, a huge value. And it is for me too, authenticity. Where are you? Or like first, like where did that compass within you come from that was like, what I know most is I want to be myself, right? And then how could you speak to the courage it takes to be yourself? Because what I find that authenticity and realness takes a lot of courage, because it means that you're living your life for yourself, right? And not for other people's expectations or ideas of you. And I'd love for you to share where that comes from, for you, and where are you in your journey? Because you're teaching your daughters right now, and I'd love to know where you are in your journey about really being boldly yourself today.
Yeah. So I'm still learning, still growing, still working. But I have made some great strides, and I will give myself credit for that because, I think for me growing up and, being the daughter of a pastor, there were a lot of expectations, whether said or unsaid, that were put on me, to be this, be that, and you're a pastor's daughter, you can't do this, and you can't do that, or you can't go here. And I'm just like, it was just so many things. I felt like I was always trying to walk this narrow line, and I could do it. I was great at it, but on the inside, like it was killing me. And it was like killing me so much to the point that, I don't know, I guess, yeah, a few years ago, like in my 20s, like there was so much of me that was gone. Like I didn't even know who I was anymore. So it's like I'm this shell of a person, of a bunch of different people, but it's not even me. So I had lost myself, and I didn't like that. Because I lost myself, I wasn't able to really articulate how I felt. My emotions were just, I mean, a lot of decisions I made were emotionally based, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why I felt this way or why I was doing this. And just, so things would come out really angry. Yeah, I had a lot of anger. And I don't think I've never really realized that until now. It was because it was really just frustration within myself. So I did the work. I went to, back in 2014 is when I first started therapy. And I went there every week. And that is some hard work. The self-work is hard work. Like really, it is the hardest work. And a lot of us talk about it and we say, oh, like I'm going to do the work. And it's like, are you really about that life? Because
are you really going to do
it? You're really about that life, because it takes consistency. It takes having to face yourself, face everything about you.
Shadow work. Yeah.
And it's a lot. It took money too. I mean, to have to go to therapy every week, I'm saying, okay, like I'm committing to my mental health. Like I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to take off work for this. I'm going to show up for this, even on the days I don't feel like it, even when the days I don't want to talk or I don't want to have to dig deep. Like I'm going to do it. And like the best thing for me, the best thing. So I love it now. I love exploring more about who I am. And that honestly, it built up my confidence, because now I know why I do certain things, or I know why I say it, or I can think about, I can have an answer when someone's like, well, why do you feel that way? Or why is this? And I can speak to it and be okay with it.
Right. Yeah, it's that self-awareness that gets, like, that's what grows when you're doing that work, that deep self-awareness. And you're right. When you're talking about confidence, is when you do have that self-awareness, when you really start to look at yourself with what I call eyes of truth. And truth and love are the same thing. So when I say seeing yourself with eyes of truth, it means seeing yourself with very deep love. And so that is a life-altering, life-transformative process.
Absolutely.
And it is the hardest work you will do. Yes, Brian, I agree with you. It is the hardest work that you will do.
Yes.
So thumbs up to all of you out there who are doing the work, right? And the courage it takes to do the work, because it does take a lot of courage to do that.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about the struggle is real, or the absence of struggle, or the absence of joy. And so the path towards wholeness in the midst of struggling can be really hard. And so what informed you around the vision of the life that you wanted to create as you have taken a step towards ministry and entrepreneurship?
Okay, so kind of rephrase that for me.
Okay, so
I'll make
joy,
sure
or
I'm
the lack
answering.
of joy, right,
Mhm.
brings a lot of struggle. And in the midst of that struggle, there's finding a way, right, towards the vision that it is that you're carrying.
Yeah.
And so you went down this venture of entrepreneurship and even ministry. And I would ask you, is what was the part that said, okay, I'm going to dive into this thing? Like, what was the call towards these two paths? Because they're both very unconventional. Being an entrepreneur, leaving this stable, steady job to be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, and then ministry. Which, you know.
So, and I wish I had, no, I don't. I don't wish. I don't have any like type of, I don't have any profound like responses for these. Like, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
like something so pretty and like, oh my, like, this
No,
is
I
it.
don't want
But
that. I just want to know the truth. Like, what is your
yeah,
journey to get there? Yeah.
like when it came to the ministry stuff, it really was just like, I just feel like God just wouldn't leave me alone. And I'm just
What is
like,
that? What is, when you say God wouldn't leave you alone? Explain
uh,
that.
it's just like, so it's this, and I don't want to say nagging, but it's just like this gnawing at your spirit. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out how to really like say it so
Mm-hmm.
someone can know what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if I'm out, like if I was out at a club or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm all dressed up and cute, whatever, and I get there, and then I immediately feel super uncomfortable. And it's like I would hear this like, you know, you're not supposed to be here. Like, why are you here? And I'm like, no, like I'm trying to have a good time. Like, I'm cute. Like, and it's like, you're not supposed to be here.
What's in
Like,
your life?
yeah, it's like, so it's like when you feel those feelings, like those really strong feelings about something, like it's so like your gut, whatever your
Mm-hmm.
gut feeling is, and my gut would just talk to me a lot. Or even if it was something that if I saw someone else doing something in ministry, or
Ooh.
um, or if I was just around someone and it was just like it was the positive, like this is something you should be doing. And it just like, it made me feel, not just feel good, but it made me kind of see what could be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of knew, okay, that's like the, the gnawing at me, you know, or my gut kind of talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and honestly, like entrepreneurship, I had got a little taste of it back in like 2015, and I was kind of doing some work with someone on a project, and I had really never thought about being an entrepreneur. And I think because I knew how much work is involved,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that, who wants to do that? Like, that doesn't sound exciting to me. So I always had my dream of becoming like this, like corporate boss, like me being like a VP of HR somewhere, like with a corner office, like looking cute every day. And, you know, and then once I kind of, you know, dove into the entrepreneurship, I'm like, huh, so this is kind of cool. You
Yeah.
know, it's not so bad. And then again, once things in my life started shifting, like once I realized like it doesn't matter what I wear, like I don't care. Like I'd rather be comfortable than wearing a suit. I'd rather do this or whatever. I'm like, when time became more important to me, when my peace, um, like, you know, not having to deal with office politics, I'm like, you know what? Entrepreneurship could work. And honestly, once I left my job, and then a few months later, I had someone reach out to me and they were like, hey, Tiffany, you know, you do HR, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But would you want to work, you know, with us on this? Sure, why not? And that's how
Boom.
it started. So, yeah.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
So tell me how authenticity is cornerstone to your path with the work that you're doing in your business, with your HR business. And because what I hear from you a lot is, you know, I'm just going down this path. I'm just doing this thing, and I don't I have an idea, but I'm not, it's like you're just sort of like following this course, but very authentically, right?
Yeah.
And I would share what that looks like, because so many people struggle with one, they might have the call for entrepreneurship, or they might have tried it, but because of that, this need of it to be perfect, right? Like that always gets in the way of people just getting
Yes.
started. And
Yep.
that can also be what defeats people when they get started, that they give up, right? And so could you speak towards like that, just like going with it, moving with it, being authentic in it?
Yeah. Entrepreneurship has really been a journey for me. Again, like I said, it's nothing that I hadn't planned on doing. So I am literally learning every day how to do certain things, how to be like a businesswoman. And then like you have to act like you know what you're doing. I mean, I know what I'm doing with HR or whatever, whatever the case is. But there were a lot of things as far as like the business side that I've never had to do before. I mean, I didn't have to worry about, taxes. I don't have to worry about, setting up things, administratively, because it was already done for me. And those things can be quite daunting. I mean, they're not difficult, but when you just haven't had to manage those things on top of your work, it can be very overwhelming.
Yes.
So there were plenty of times, and I'm sure there are going to be some more, when I have wanted to quit and stop and say, okay, you know what, like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this, or I don't want to do it. But then I think about the alternative, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, I could go back into the office, but then am I really going to be happy? Like, I'm going to be doing this cycle all over again. So I might as well just stick with it since I'm already in it. Like, I already took the leap, which was the hardest part. So I'm like, just stick with it and see where it goes. Like, sometimes I'll tell myself, just push a little bit more. Like, you never know how much further this can go. Just, like, what if you pushed a little bit harder today? Like, where would that take you next month or next year? Like, you never know. So part of me, again, it's not anything like mind blowing, but part of me, I'm curious to see how far I can take it. I'm curious. I'm putting myself to the challenge to see, like, okay, can I really stick with this, and to see how far I can go with it. So yeah, it's a
I love curiosity as being the driver. I
Yeah.
think that's great,
Yeah.
because you're right in so many ways, and you could apply curiosity to anything, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's the minute you stop being curious that you like it's over, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it comes to a dead end, and that
Yep.
that applies to anything. It's a business venture, the work that you're doing, right? Anybody
Yep.
who's in a job, right? The moment you stop being curious about it is when it starts dying, right?
Absolutely.
Relationship, when the minute you stop being curious about your partner,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
that's it. That's
Yep.
a warning, red flag.
Yep.
So yeah, curiosity is so
Yeah.
true. So true.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you, because we talked a lot about like finding joy, right? Like finding joy and purpose. One of the things I have noticed about you, and so if you after this, definitely check out Tiffany, follow her on her social medias. I see you joined TikTok, girl. Saw you on TikTok.
I'm like struggling through it, but again, like I'm curious. I'm curious. So I'm gonna keep at it.
But I love the way that you share your life. You share your even your challenges. You bring your challenges to the table. You bring your wins to the table, and you seem to be such a community centered, relationship centered person. And so what is fun and joy look like for you, and where are you in that being sort of guideposts for you in your life right now?
So currently, like, fun and joy for me, like I'm in a space where I've been I I don't know if I want to say rediscovering, but really diving into my joy. So I am discovering it. Um, and yeah, and just digging deeper. So um yeah, I'm like I mentioned, I'm doing learning some digital marketing strategies and things like that now. And I just started, it's a certificate program that I'm doing. And I just started it last month. And um, it's been something that I haven't always wanted to learn about it, but just it's something that I've kind of always done on the side, but didn't really like know why or didn't have like the education behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's funny because, right, I've been doing HR now for 18 years. And now I'm stepping into this other space of marketing. And it's so weird and crazy and exciting at the same time to be like the baby in a career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in HR, I'm confident, I'm comfortable. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can do this in my sleep. Like, this is fine. Okay. But in all of this digital marketing space, it's like I'm learning so much every day, all day. And I love it. And that is honestly what is bringing me joy now. Like if I talk to people, they're just like, you just light up when you talk about it. And I'm like, because it's new, and it's not just new, it's just like this whole other world, but it still kind of connects to HR in a sense too. And I feel like my purpose, I haven't found it, but I just have like an extension of it now. And it's
I
just
think
like,
it's because it's more creative, because you
yes,
are a creative person.
yes. I am. And that's what it is. I mean, like HR is something that I've been doing for a long time. So that's why, and I love it. I have a passion for it. But yeah, I'm definitely not a person to be in a box. And I am such a creative, and I haven't um I haven't made the time. I'll say that, not had time. I haven't made the time to really dive back into my creative space and my creative persona. And that's who I am. That's where I thrive off of that. Like I love it. So yeah, that's what brings me joy.
I love to hear you moving towards a more creative path, because you are a creative. And one of the things I put in the description of this talk is, are you a creative out there, right? With a vision, or and a call, right, for greater purpose or contribution. But being a creative, being a I think that's right brain, being a right brain person in a world that's very much rooted in logic and ration and order and structure, right? And when we look at careers and we look at the business world or our professions, there's so much rooted in what makes sense, what's logical, what's rational, what's professional,
Yes.
And when you are creative, it's like sometimes you have to, or oftentimes you have to create what it is you're looking for.
Right? Absolutely. So,
and that's what I hear you doing right now is like, you're like, okay, so I've been going down this path, been a little conventional. I'm moving towards an unconventional path of doing it for myself. But now I'm about to dive into this creative zone.
Yeah. Because it's like, I feel like this is a space where I can still be creative. But, since like I have kids and stuff now, I don't want to be too like, hey, I'm just going to like go off into the sunset and just, but as much as like my inner like being would like love to do that and just like look at the clouds all day, like, no, I can't. So I'm like, okay, well, digital marketing, I could still like, get my creative juices flowing and all that stuff. I used to, and I hate that I'm saying used to, but acting used to be a big part of my life. So I love all things like acting and the theater and movies. Like I love all of that stuff. And I haven't again made the time to kind of get back into that. And I plan on kind of fixing that soon,
Good.
rectifying that. But yeah, I'm such a creative person. And I just, yeah, sometimes when I'm like in these boxes, again, like I want to be me and I want to be authentic. And I am not like a box person. Like,
Right.
I do not thrive in a box. I am, it's the worst for me.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta chart your own path. I think, and when we're talking about, being empaths, and I find pretty much every empath that I know, I think they're all very expressive and creative.
Yeah.
And so I really do sense and feel that what you're speaking to, right, and this transition that you're in right now is the transition that so many of us are in. And I'm in the same boat. It's like, hey, I'm diving into creating this show, and creating content, and these are things that I was not doing before, and I did not think that I'm like, me doing that, what, and doing a TED talk, it was like, what, like,
amazing.
and it's like, but like, what I recognize is God is always going to put you on the path that you're meant to be on. Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
There's always going to be opportunities that are guiding you towards whatever your gifts are. Yep. And those gifts are your creative expression. They're your creative passion. They're the things that are stirring in your soul, that want to be brought forward, that you want to do. Right. And so that's one thing I know, is that, just like you said at the beginning of this, like, this is a journey. Like, I don't have a specific way, right? Like, this is a journey. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a journey. We're not supposed to know. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because we will be shown, and it's just about answering the call when those things come up. So like, in answering the call, so much of that is saying yes to your own fears. One of the things that I say is surrendering your greatest fear over to your greatest potential. And so, if you could think of some moments where you had to face your fear and surrender it to your greatest potential, if there was one moment in your life that you could share your story and wisdom on, for someone who might be in a place like that, that's like life's calling you to surrender that fear over.
That is a great question. I say great because I'm trying to pick.
It could be anything.
Yeah, like I have dealt with fear quite a bit in my life, so it's something that I have to constantly not just work on, but like you said, just surrender to it. Because there have been so many things that I have either missed out on or just didn't even attempt because of fear. And and I think there were things that could have been good for me, whether it was getting to know someone different, or taking on a new, like a job opportunity, and I was just like, no, I don't know if I want to do that, or whatever. And I'm not saying it in a regretful way, but I realized the power that we give fear, and it can be very crippling, and it can really keep you from living a very full life. So I really can't think of one thing in particular right now, but I just know, like, every day I have to wake up and surrender to my fear. Like, I really do. Whether it's if I'm, meeting with someone that I've never met before, and they want to talk about something that I'm not fully comfortable or sure about. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to like Google, like, what is this? I don't know, and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I have to surrender to it. I mean, people do stuff like this every day. Like, we're all learning in something. We're not experts at everything all the time. So I'm like, Tiff, like you have to, you got to just say, okay, like, let me just take a deep breath, go in there, like head first and just try it. I'm either going to sink or I'm going to swim, but
Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all
Yes.
right. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the last things I want to talk about is, in the coming to understand, like, I'm going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
So much of meeting your fear is about allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And there's so many moments in our life that call us towards vulnerability. And what I'm coming to see for myself are the times in my life where I fell short of being able to be open, right, and be very vulnerable. And that can be both because the situation or the environment is not safe to do so,
Mm-hmm.
to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But more and more, I'm just finding that life is calling us to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, because that means that we're letting go of the need or the idea that we're in control, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you speak a little bit about, your journey with vulnerability? Because you've talked with me about, being a person who's a connection to emotion, right? And
Yes.
and so much of that is the heart that you bring, right? And the heart that you carry, and why you can do the work that you're doing. But I know that so many people out there are holding on to fear about being vulnerable, or having conversations around vulnerability. And what kind of wisdom would you share about this idea of vulnerability?
So I would say with vulnerability, it's it's not a weakness. It doesn't make you weak. And I know, like, people say that a lot of times, like, oh, it's really strength. And I don't even know if it's strength. I'll just say it's just authenticity. And um, I know in being vulnerable, because I feel like I am. Like, I don't, because number one, you would be able to tell if I wasn't being vulnerable. Like, I have a horrible poker face and it's terrible. And I just don't have the energy to try anymore. I'm like, look, like, this is this is what y'all gonna get. My good days, my not so good days.
Yeah.
But what I've learned in my just life's journey is in being vulnerable, um, it really allows us to really connect with people. And there have been so many times, there have been times where I have not been vulnerable. And then the times when I did open up, I didn't realize that someone else was going through the exact same thing, or that they understood me in a way that I didn't think that could be understood. Um, and, I think when you are vulnerable, it's like you have to have like a safe space with someone, that kind of allows you to be vulnerable. And that safe space could even be yourself, just to kind of start off with. Again, it's like doing that self work. And if you can be safe with yourself, then that is a great place to start. But vulnerability really connects us in so many more ways, than it separates us. And it's a beautiful thing. I feel like, especially for me, I try to be vulnerable on like social media and stuff. I mean, I'm not going to tell you all my business and go through like, I'm not going to do all that, but I'm going to do it to an extent, because it's like, we're all going through the same stuff. Like, and if it's not the same, we're all going through some stuff. And at the end of the day, we're all human. We just want to be seen, heard, and loved.
Yes.
And again, that's that safe space that, we can create with one another. And like I said, if you're not ready to do it with anyone else, you can at least do it with yourself. But just to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved. And when you feel like you're in a space where you can do that, I feel like that is where vulnerability can begin to, release. And that's when the world will just, it'll open up.
Yes, I can agree with you more. Vulnerability, I think, is that's the path of change and transformation. I think in this
Yes.
world,
Yeah.
that the more that we can be vulnerable, the more radical change and shift we can create and impact in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Tiffany, this has been such a great conversation. And Laura, yes, thank you for saying that. It has been
Hey,
such a great
girl.
conversation. Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone.
Yes,
Joining us for more conversations. Now, this episode is going to be live on Facebook for the rest of this week, and then it'll be taken down, but you can follow it on YouTube at Meant for More, and that's Meant for More, Moore, on YouTube, and join us and subscribe if you love conversations like this. This is what the kind of messaging that I want to bring into the world, and to share voices like Tiffany's around purpose and passion and life. So, Tiffany, would you let people know how they can connect with you and the work that you're doing and where they can follow you?
Oh, sure. I guess the best way to follow me is on either on Instagram or Twitter, even though I don't use Twitter that much, but it's at Just Tiffany P. So JUSTIFFANYP. And from there, I'm there, and on Facebook too.
Great. And I will share your information as well in the description section, so people will have access to that.
Awesome.
And then any last words that you would leave for our audience tonight?
I think if anything, I like what you said about surrendering to your fears. And it is just my hope that when everyone closes their eyes tonight to get some rest, and they wake up tomorrow morning, or whenever it is, whenever they watch this, that they just feel a sense of renewed passion, not being scared as much as you can. You know, life is, as we know, is fleeting, is short, and whatever you have, whatever the gifts, whatever the talents, whatever that makes you special, whatever your superpower is, just use it. Do it now, use it. That's your purpose. This is use what you've got. So,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tiffany, so good.
Thank you.
Thank you
This was
so much for being with us. And we'll see you next week on our next episode of Meant for More. Next week, we're going to be having a conversation around forgiveness. It's going to be a way to look at forgiveness in some different facets. And so if you want to join that conversation, you can join us next week on Tuesday at the same time right here. And big hugs, open hearts to all of you all, and have a great week, and see you next time around. Bye, everyone.
Bye.